EnergyAustralia Stadium in Newcastle. It's the Newcastle Knights up against the Manly Sea Eagles.
It is a beautiful afternoon for rugby league in the Hunter, and the Newcastle faithful have arrived in their thousands, hoping that the Knights can end a 4-game losing streak. They have a couple of changes. Mark Hughes is back from a hamstring injury. George Carmont is out. Michael Ennis will start the game at 5'8". Stephen Witt is omitted, and the new player on the bench in jumper number 19 is Kevin Henderson. The coach for the Knights is Michael Hagan. Manly have a number of changes also. Albert Torrens is out. Stephen Menzies moves from lock to centre. Luke Williamson will start the game in the lock forward position. Shane Dunley is in at hooker for Nathan Hollingsworth. Daniel Heckenberg goes back to the interchange bench, meaning Kylie Lulawai will start the game in jumper number 14. And the new players on the bench for Manly: in 18, Nathan Tutt; in 20, Kane Cleal; and the coach is Des Hasler. And a short time ago we saw the official signing of Andrew Johns to a new 2-year contract. Of course, one of the biggest stories in rugby league and rugby union in the last couple of weeks. And there it is on the dotted line for Andrew Johns, ending a week and more of turmoil about where he will be continuing his career in 2005. And a huge roar went up here at EnergyAustralia Stadium as Andrew Johns signed on for another 2 years for the Newcastle Knights. And the fans were absolutely delighted, as were his parents.
Stay on side, Knights.
And Newcastle defending the southern end of EnergyAustralia Stadium, and Gidley gets us underway with Manly. First use of the football at the northern end. Just overrunning it there was Jason King, and that means Manly will be pinned inside their 20 through Robson. This time, can they get to the 20? The Newcastle defence up very quickly. Badiris leading the way with Josh Perry. This is Watmo. Dunley in there at acting half in jumper number 16. Menzies playing left centre this afternoon. Picks up some metres. 4 gone. Ordinary play the ball. Maybe Dunley wasn't expecting it. Williamson. There's a great tackle. A big hit. That coming from Clint Newton. And here comes the kick from Walker. Well inside his 40. Anthony Quinn has it covered. It gets down towards the 20, but nowhere near the touchline as Quinn brings it back. So Manly, their first use of the football. Get down towards the 30-metre line. Davis back on the inside to Quinn.
And Manly really struggled in that first set to get a decent set and a decent kick away, and that's the thing they've got to contend with. They've been slow starters, renowned slow starters so far this season. They've got to stay with the Knights early on. There's no doubt Manly can come home, but they've got to start early and start well.
Mulno, slow starters is an understatement, isn't it? They just don't start until half time. Here's Kennedy. Ben Kennedy against the club he'll be playing for next season. And the Newcastle Knights fans are just pleased to see him back this afternoon. Along with Mark Hughes, Gidley puts it very high. Brett Stewart is underneath it, getting protection from Hicks. It comes down to Quinn. That should be play on. He's lost it. Or is he over the line?
Sean, can you just check to see if he scored that okay?
Sean Hampstead is the video referee. Chris Hicks took a Newcastle player out and should have been penalised anyway. If he doesn't get the try, there's got to be a penalty to Newcastle.
Well, it was a great kick up in the air. It was up there for what seemed like an eternity. That gave the chasers plenty of time to get through. Stewart was in tremendous position to take the kick. Gidley, great kick, high, gave plenty of time for the chasers to come through. Now Stewart's in perfect position there at the back. Ball tends to go into his arms, bounces out, misjudged it slightly. Nick Bradley at the back was behind him in position. Now, did Nick Bradley have a hand on the Manly player on the ground there?
I think he's lost that there anyway, dragging it into him maybe.
Well,
is he tackled?
Difficult to say from that angle. This will give us a better look as to whether or not Nick Bradley actually...
He's lost that, I think. Here's the decision from Sean Hampstead. No try, scrum. He's ruled that it's a knock on. Obviously didn't see Chris Hicks taking the man out. Michael Hagan a little bit confused.
Well, after he touched it and your bloke knocked it on, so we've got a scrum here.
Yeah, well, he obviously missed the obstruction.
The second rowers are locked to lock in there and stay here. Same with you, Knights. Ben Kennedy, get those arms over. Get him up and keep him in there. Outside leg up. Out!
So Manly very fortunate there to get away with that. They have the ball 10 out from their own line. I think after that kick from Gidley, Brett Stewart can expect a few more this afternoon also.
Certainly can. He really did struggle. The sun's behind him, so he's got no excuses there. He just found himself in the wrong position at the last moment.
The Knights inside the 10.
Going early, you're going before you can.
So Walker will try and find touch about the 40-metre line. Just a couple of metres shy, but they are into Newcastle territory. Injury and back play for Manly. Looks like Anthony Watmo is not particularly well. As Jason King will play. This is Lulawai. Badiris with a tackle. He bursts through that. Perry comes again to wrap him up with the assistance of Vulno. Now Williamson down the blind side. Quick hands to Donald. He can get a try from nothing. He's only 9 metres out. Now comes to Robson. Walker stepping away there from Todd Lowry, who slipped right in front of the goalpost. Options left and right. Dunley goes to the right. Robson looking inside. Taken to ground there by Kurt Gidley with the assistance of Ben Kennedy. Here's the last for Manly. Walker, crossfield kick, looking into the sun is Tamana Tahu. Here comes Donald. Donald's lost that. It's gone backwards, says the referee. Still last tackle. Donald's lost it again from Menzies. Watmow picks it up. It's still the last. And that'll be changeover.
A great tactic there from Manly, kicking across to that corner, putting Tamana Tahu under enormous pressure, looking into that sun. But in the end, Manly tripped over themselves. They had too many players there and got in each other's way.
Newcastle now trying to work the ball outside their own 20. Perry plays it, didn't like the treatment there from Lulawai. Went chasing him, pushed him away, and that was all. Here's Kennedy. Runs at Hicks. Had the arm free, decided not to pass there to Anthony Quinn.
And it must be a strange situation there for Ben Kennedy playing out there. He's just signed during the week to play next couple of seasons with the Manly club. And he's been out with injury for a fair length of time, so he comes back against the club that he's going to be playing for next year. It must be very, very strange circumstances for him.
Too much on that there from Kurt Gidley, so Manly will get an easy 20-metre restart. Sam Harris in the hands of the trainer from Manly. So both the second rowers receiving treatment in the first couple of minutes. 5 gone, still no score. Watmow looks to have recovered though, running across field. Easy meet for Gidley in the defensive line. This is Nick Bradley almost through.
And that's what Manly have got to do a lot more of. Get out of dummy half, get over the advantage line and try and get...
Great work, Williamson. Menzies just behind Donald.
Pull it forward.
But it was that run there from Nick Bradley, the quick play the ball, to set up that short side. Williamson with a lovely step. Menzies passed to Donald just behind him.
Yeah, the idea was right on the short side, but once again, it's that pass too many that leads to the breakdown of play. Great thing, get halfway through a break, halfway through a gap, but you can't afford to push that extra pass and take too many risks.
Get back 5, Steve. Get it in there, Jason. Luke Williamson, arms over.
So here's an opportunity for Newcastle after the Manly era. They have possession. Oh, he lost that. Did he regather? Only just. That was Michael Ennis. This is Lowry.
Here it is, Eagles.
The Newcastle fans wanting a penalty for inside the 10. There was no doubt that a number of Manly players are offside. That's off the foot. I'm sure that he got a hand to it. Walker coming over the top.
Yeah, I think he did get a hand to it on that occasion, Mark, and a lot of frustration out there from Newcastle, but they've got to be patient. They've got to realise that they've got players back from injury. They've got 4 players that have come back into this game that weren't there last week. Kennedy, Parsons, Matt Gidley, Adam Woolnough, all back into the side. They don't need to force the issue early. They've just got to settle down, get into a rhythm, and play the game at their pace.
Here's Woolnough, 10 short of halfway. Stewart, out of acting half, picking up easy 9 metres. Clint Newton with the tackle with Woolnough. Here's Lulawai, where's Perry? He comes in from the side. Badiris in there, in fact it's Woolnough and Ennis again. Dunley, Crossfield looking to pass to someone. Now finds Stewart. He's on the outside of Hughes. Watches Hicks come back on the inside and Stewart makes some metres and then takes the tackle. Now Walker, last tackle. putting it very high. Robbie O'Davis in the field of play, leaping, took his eyes off it, let the ball go. Kennedy back there to tidy up. His real Manly is knocked on. It was Robbie O'Davis at the last minute. Not sure whether he lost it in the sun or just decided not to try and contest the football.
Well, he was certainly looking up towards the sun once again, but he took his eyes off the football at the last moment. And, yeah, Sam Harris obviously got a hand on it in the opinion of the referee, but unusual there from Robbie O'Davis. Normally puts his body on the line and can't be distracted as Manly come up with possession.
And they've lost it, Menzies. They've taken their advantage. At the moment, neither side is able to handle the football. Here's a penalty. Bizarre passage of play from both teams.
Yeah, we've had nearly 9 minutes or 8 minutes of play, and neither team has settled down at all. Very, very disjointed. Both teams seem to be nervous, edgy. For Newcastle, it's a must-win game. They've lost 4 on the trot. They're a couple of points out of the top 8. They need this match, need to win this match to get their momentum going. They've got a lot of home games left this season because they played so many games away when the construction of the grandstand was on earlier this year. They've got a lot of home games coming up.
Andrew Walker.
Another penalty.
You've got to get back.
Badira's taking the quick kick for touch. Finds it just short of the 20-metre line. So here's a golden opportunity for Newcastle to put the first points on the board this afternoon. Perry, good tackle around the legs there by Harris. Over the top was King. Badira's down the blind side. Bounces away from Harris but can't get away from Hicks. Gidley taking the ball back on the inside. And Woolno is taken to ground. Badiris thumbing to Larry, goes himself. Did he get it down? The ball ended up on the line.
Suspicion that he might have lost it. Can you just check, please?
So do I. I thought he may have dropped it.
On this occasion, he throws the dummy, darts out. Defenders there in numbers. And to me, looks like he gets the ball down on the line. So I think that's the try.
I think that's fair enough. And here's the decision. They had one disallowed earlier, which was fair enough. But this one should be the green light. And there it is. Danny Badiris opens the scoring. The captain gets the first 4-pointer. And the Knights flags fly. And Michael Hagan will be feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, well, he'd be feeling comfortable. Des Hasler, probably it's a routine situation for him because the opposition normally start off better than the Sea Eagles do. And have we look here, the Manly defenders, they split too wide. Andrew Walker splits too quickly, looking for the pass out wide, and Badiris ducks his head, goes through. Very, very strong. Very, very strong at a dummy half. Very, very strong for a small man. And that close to the line, very, very hard to stop.
He's already kicked 16 goals so far this season, make that 17. For Kurt Gidley, the Newcastle lead by 6 points to 0. We've had just over 10 minutes of play. And Manly will have to do the catching again. They can't let a side build a lead on them in the first half.
They certainly can, and they've got the worst defence in the NRL. And one of the reasons why they have that poor defence, I believe, is the fact that they don't talk enough in the defensive line. They're not communicating enough, and they're unsure of which players are taking which defenders are taking which attacking players, and that was evident on that occasion. Andrew Walker split wide. He was looking for the first receiver, but Badiris snuck his head through.
It's almost like Manly don't consider it a challenge until they're chasing 20 points plus. As O'Davis gets a nice bounce, finds Woolno. He runs into a wall of Manly defenders on this occasion. Williamson was in there with Watmow and also Menzies. There's some solid body contact. And Jason King has come off the worst for wear with a clash with Josh Perry. He's back in the defensive line, and Perry's slow to his feet also. There's a solid run from Newton. Here comes Lowry. And there's Kylie Lulawai standing and Williamson assisting. There is certainly plenty of big hits out in the middle of the park this afternoon as Stewart is under that kick from Gidley. He's up towards the 30, and the chase is good from Newcastle, led by Ben Kennedy. There's Desi Hasler looking on. This is Nick Bradley. Hicks going down the blind side on his own. There's no room down there and there was no way through. So takes the tackle of Todd Lowry and also Kurt Gidley. Sam Harris. There's Perry in there. So Adam Mulno. Tackle number 4. King. Straight at Lowry. And drags him for an extra couple of metres.
That's easy yardage. They certainly won't want Jason King to get injured because he's one of the real go-forward players, one of the strong men in their pack. He's only played 2 games. This is his 3rd game this season. He's suffered from a bad stress fracture in his foot, and he only came back last week from injury. Carts the ball forward with enormous power every time he runs, and we've got a bit of a swinging arm coming in there at the last moment there from Josh Perry, it looked like. So it looks like there could be a penalty.
Yeah, it's a penalty.
So Josh Perry, as well as being penalised, has been told to get cleaned up, which he hasn't done yet. He's back in the defensive line, and Manly, can they hit straight back? Here's Luluai. Kennedy there with the tackle. Away from that, and Perry was there with Lowry. 5 metres out. Robson inside to King, who's dropped it. And the opportunity goes begging. I just wonder whether King was still a little bit dusty from that tackle.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but Jeff Robson took the poor option on that occasion. The Knights were struggling on the left-hand side for numbers, and he elected to give it back into Jason King on the inside where the thick of the defence was.
Tamana Tahu. Trying to get his touch of the football. Badiris looking for some metres out of Ackley half. Harris coming in to try and clean him up.
Once again, the marker defence, the Manly marker defence, very, very sloppy. Easy yardage out of there. They need to tidy that up and tidy it up quickly.
Michael Ennis gets boots a ball, but straight to Stewart. He returns it well.
That's a sloppy one, mate. Got him up high, get him down, eh?
Well, Steve Clark has set the standard. Players know where the bar is. He's not going to tolerate anything that's up around near the head, and that was high. That was high. Can't argue with that.
As he said, sloppy there from Matt Gidley, who made the tackle with his brother Kurt. Here's King. So Manly, plenty of possession the last few minutes. Can they turn that into points? As Watmo goes down the blind side. Here's Dunley. Donald. Could have just handed it straight to Newcastle there. I'm not sure that he was expecting it. Desi Hasler. Can't believe what he saw. Now they go wide, Newcastle early. Kennedy gets it from Kurt Gidley. Now to Anthony Quinn. He's got Nick Bradley in front of him. And Hicks also assists and succumbs to the tackle to stay away from the touchline. Todd Lowry.
Dominant 2! Hold, go!
This is Perry. It's the shoulder, says the referee, and he's not going to get up. And Dunley is the man in the tackle. The referee's still saying shoulder, and he's not going to call time off. Gidley, Kennedy. Walker lucky not to be penalised all over the back there of Kennedy. Here's Clint Newton. Dunley again with the tackle. King coming in also to assist with Sam Harris. Here's the last, Kurt Gidley down the blind side. Little kick, Stewart has it covered. Immediately taken to ground by Quinn.
Yeah, good positional play there from Brett Stewart at the back. And look for lots of attacking kicks from both sides, because both these teams have had more tries scored against them from kicks than any other teams in the competition. Newcastle being the worst defenders, they've had the most tries conceded from kicks, and Manly the second most tries conceded from kicks. So they've really got to be alert to those kicks down near their own try lines.
Walker getting the kick away under pressure early. It's out on the full. That'll be a scrum. They kicked early. Ben Kennedy knew it was coming because the Manly players headed downfield before the ball was played and just telegraphed it.
Yeah, they certainly did. They telegraphed it. Obviously, the reason you kick early is to get the surprise on the opposition so they don't get a chance to charge and kick it down. But when you telegraph it by the forwards taking off as soon as the play of the ball happens, well, your kicker's got no hope.
An opportunity here for Newcastle. Ennis on the outside to Matthew Gidley. Now Stewart in front of him. Somehow he was able to keep the ball in the field of play. And it comes back to Tahu. Tahu is tackled 10 metres out. King coming in late to assist with the tackle. Kurt Gidley. Woolno, can he drive his way over? Keeps the legs pumping, but Harris and Stewart hold him up. A couple of metres out from the goal line. Badiris, Kurt Gidley, numbers here for Manly. Straight through Mark Hughes on his return. Scores the try. And they didn't like Shane Dunley coming in late, the Newcastle players. And Mark Hughes is back for Newcastle. 10 points to 0, and Dunley's going to be cautioned by the referee.
And a smart set there by the Newcastle side. They pushed it to the far right-hand side of the field. Gidley and Tahu combined. A couple of power plays into the centre to drag the Manly right side defence in. And they were just short on numbers in the end. It was a simple angle back into the gap by Mark Hughes, who comes back from injury in this game. Valuable addition to the Newcastle Knights side. Back into the hole, scores the try.
£12 to 0. Todd Lowry receiving treatment for what looks like a chest or sternum injury on the touchline. He's just had that strapped and back into the field of play. And Kurt Gidley makes it 2 from 2, and it's 12-0. And Manly once again find themselves behind in the first half. Well, we see the barnstorming finish they've put in the last few weeks.
Where they've let themselves down more than any other area is the errors they've been committing. I mean, the handling errors. They've already spilt the ball on 4 occasions. Newcastle have only spilt the ball, dropped the ball on 1 occasion. So you can't compete against Newcastle in Newcastle when you're given that volume of possession.
There's a deep kick. And they did well in the end through Tamana Tahu to save that ball from going over the dead ball line, or at least touching goal. Perry towards the 20. Josh Perry getting very frustrated at the moment. There's a solid tackle from Dunley again on Woolno. Still talking to the referee in back play. Oh, that pass was very flat, to say the least. Newton play on, wasn't tackled. O'Davis runs into Hicks and Dunley. They're up near the halfway line here, Newcastle. 2 tackles remaining. Badiris again out of acting half. Now it comes to Kurt Gidley. Out to Ennis. Now Matthew Gidley. Quick hands to Mana Tahu. Donald in front of him. Menzies also assists with the tackle. Last here. Kurt Gidley's back near the 40. Now he puts it high. All the chasers are onside. Stewart under it. Was he in the field of play? No, the referee says he was in the in-goal area when he took the football.
Yeah, the kick slightly astray there from Kurt Gidley. He was looking to put further across field and give his chasers time to come through. Stewart did well, because the previous kick that went up like that, he fumbled it and almost resulted in a Newcastle try. But Kurt Gidley's taking control of this game from a Newcastle perspective. He really is dictating play on his terms.
Heckenberg plays it. Woolno bouncing away from the tackle. Kurt Gidley in there also. Dunley out of acting half. Looking to spark something here for Manly. Hicks well picked up into half a gap. He's just thrown it away. Play on. That's off the legs of Newcastle.
No, there's another one there.
In the end, Nick Bradley did knock on. But that would have been play on, because it was thrown backwards by Chris Hicks. It came off the legs there of Ben Kennedy.
Yeah, but once again, Mark, it's another error. Another loss of possession from the Manly side, and the problem is they've been unable to control possession and get decent possession in good field position to really mount any sustained attack on Newcastle.
It was Todd Lowry whose boot it came off, and you saw we're about to see 2 changes here for Newcastle. Tony Parsons about to come on with Matthew Kennedy. Those changes have been made now. Parsons and Kennedy on. Perry and Woolno off for Newcastle. The Knights keep it alive through Davis. Matthew Gidley straightens the attack. Luke Williamson makes the tackle.
Coming out of the field, number 14,
Here's Parsons, but his first hit up. He's there at Heckenberg, who makes the tackle. Quick play the ball also from Parsons. Badiris to Gidley, had to reach for it. So did Mark Hughes. And Sam Harris makes the tackle. It's tackle number 4, Gidley, down the short side. Kennedy, Dunley trying to wrap the ball up upstairs around the legs was Robson on the last here for Newcastle. Sort of a kick from Gidley on this occasion. He runs. They're all in front of him or not. Menzies watch it go over the dead ball on anyway. I just thought the Newcastle chasers, because he delayed the kick there, Gidley may have put the chasers offside, but in the end the kick wasn't a good one either.
Now that's 2 kicks in a row that have been what you consider duds from Kurt Gidley. He's got to get that aspect of his game back in order, because if they can sustain pressure on Manly down on their end of the field by forcing some repeat sets, I think Manly are really going to struggle.
Ian Donnelly about to come on for Manly. Mulno receiving, Anthony Watmow, I should say, receiving attention again in back play. Heckenberg offloading to the halfback. Cop this as the forwards just were waiting for him. Robson was the man tackled. Good hands there from Harris. Stewart to Hicks and Gidley. You could hear the talk of the Newcastle defence there. Stay out, stay out. And they did and had it covered. Here's Walker. His kick away. Davis will let it bounce. You could hear the call also. Let it go, let it go. And he did, and so it's a 20-metre restart.
Well, scrappy kicking game from both sides. See a bit of blood there. Chris Hicks, bit of a knock around the nose. And Chris Hicks, I've got to give Chris Hicks a rap. He looks dangerous every time he gets the football in his hands, and probably been one of Manly, if not Manly's most consistent players so far this season. A tremendous purchase in the off-season to come across from Penrith.
So Newcastle up towards the 40-metre line as Kennedy plays it. That's Matthew. Vidiris. Walker pops it out the back. Someone's kicked that. I'm not sure who, but Manly have come up with it through Robson, who's hit by Gidley straight away. Luke Williamson. Good tackle there from Clint Newton. Penalty.
Yes, you're coming in late. No, you come in, no, soft flop. You can't do it.
You hear the comment, that was a soft flop. I don't know what a soft flop is, but
He just put his hand on it.
I thought it was a pretty hard penalty myself.
It's a tough school now. If that's a penalty, I'll be interested to see what happens for the remainder of the game. Williamson not expecting that ball. Menzies. Quick hands to Harris. Got on the outside of Hughes. Now Hicks, can he get his arms free? Had Nick Bradley on his outside. And the tackle was made there by Mark Hughes. Now Bradley finding Dunley, throwing the dummy, going back to where the play originated. There's still a chance here, Manly. Hicks. Well, the Newcastle defence has slid well and recovered.
Get some blood.
It's Hicks
Got
again.
blood. Gotta go. Wait. So it's tackled 3. Just wait. Back to the line. Go!
Heckenberg still driving. Parsons has fallen off, but the tackle made there by Matthew Kennedy and also Badiris. Here's Walker. Williamson the decoy. Now Robson throwing the dummy. Watmow had run through as a decoy on his outside. Last tackle. Walker's the first receiver. Slowish pass. He puts it high to Tamana Tahu. He can't gather it. Manly have come up with it somehow. Scott Donald.
Just check onside and grounding, please.
He can sniff out a try. Tamana Tahu seemed to have had it covered easy.
Yeah, but he seemed to have it covered. He didn't get much protection, though, from his other Newcastle defenders. And I've got to say that Andrew Walker seemed to have an eternity to put this football up in the air. Waited, positioned himself, took his time, put it exactly where he wanted. Well, Matt Gidley was in position. He probably couldn't do any more. So the players were there trying to protect. Tahu was just out-jumped, I suppose, by Scott Donald in the end. And to me, that's a try.
And there it is. Ninth try of the season for Scott Donald, the leading try scorer for the Sea Eagles. And they're back to within 8 with a kick to come. And Walker strikes it pretty well. He struck it very well. Andrew Walker adds the extra 2. And so it's a converted try, the difference. 13.5 out from half-time. Newcastle 12, Manly 6. That's a tremendous kick from Andrew Walker. We would swap that kick for a couple of kicks earlier in the year from touch in games that Manly could have won on the bell.
It's spot on. And Andrew Walker is the key player in terms of providing that penetration for the Manly side as Heckenberg takes the ball out. Now they've got a bit of a sniff. There's slow starts behind them. Traditionally, Manly, when they get a try on the board, they up the tempo, they get a bit of a sniff of, maybe we can go on with this. They generally make a a competitive showing. Up to this point in time, the biggest problem has been lack of ball security.
Ian Donnelly towards the halfway line. Donnelly goes over that mark. Jack Newton with the tackle on 5. Walker's to the right. It comes to him now. The torpedo bomb. This is a tough one for Robbie O. Here's the chase. Hicks is there. Davis can't get it. I don't think Nick Bradley picked it up either.
Newcastle, Manly.
Robbie O. Davis will have nightmares from these kicks from Andrew Walker.
Well, that was a superb spiral torpedo kick. There's not too much you can do as a fullback, I don't care who you are, about those, because they seem to be coming down in a particular position, and then at the last moment they swirl away from you, and Andrew Walker is a master of that. But what Newcastle have to do is they have to cut down his kick time. They have to get to him. Don't give him time to position those kicks, because it's going to terrorise Robbie O. Davis and the wingers all afternoon.
Stewart trying to get on the outside of Gidley. In fact, he ducks under the tackle, then slips. Robson coming inside to Williamson. Now finding Donnelly. And he gets past Kennedy, but not Badiris. And finds himself inside the 10. Manly, a great opportunity here to level the scores. Heckenberg. They're screaming for more defence out to the left, Newcastle. In fact, they have some big gaps out here that Manly are trying to exploit. There's a great tackle from Mark Hughes. Robson, as soon as he got it. Dunley out of acting half, dumbing inside, going to Nick Bradley, who had no room and no real opportunity. And they've turned the ball over. Not sure that he was expecting it either.
Well, it was just a poor option there by Shane Dunley. He was working Nick Bradley over the sideline, and it was a ball pass in the end.
Against you. You get...
Here comes Stephen Menzies to find out about this penalty. Got a long way to come now.
He doesn't have to move back 10 metres. Once he's taken, he can stand there.
Yeah, and what I saw was him move in. He just dropped into him, and he also gave him a little one on the way down too. Okay, so we got to get it out. Right, they're all a fine line, Steve. But that's what I saw.
Got a long way to come today, Stephen Menzies. What about this tackle from Mark Hughes? Jeff Robson's just turned around and seen Hughes streaming at him. And Ben Kennedy liked it.
Yeah, well, the odds were pretty big. If he doesn't make the tackle, they score the try, so it was a try saver in the end.
Parsons. Gidley, it's Kurt, now Ennis inside to Clint Newton. Watmow with the tackle, also Robson in there, and number 17 is Ian Donnelly. The crowd wanting a penalty, although Clint Newton is doing his best to get one, so the referee decides no. Lowry back on the inside from Kurt Gidley. Stewart with the tackle. Inside the 10 here, Newcastle finding some gaps around the ruck. Now Kurt Gidley looking for runners away from one tackle. Pops the ball back on the inside to Matthew Kennedy, and this is the last for Newcastle. Kurt Gidley now has Davis on his outside, cuts him out. Hughes, Ennis bouncing away from Hicks, out the back to Mark Hughes. He throws it to Williamson. He's not going to have the pace. Here comes Quinn and wraps him up 10 short of halfway.
Well, they bombed that. That was an opportunity. They should have scored on the play after Todd Lowry made that bust because they had numbers. They should have gone wide early.
The ball.
After I called 2, I called it, lost it. Called tackle 2, then it went. He had hit the deck. I called 2 as he hit the deck, then it went. I called 2 as he hit the deck, and then it went.
Well, this is how Manly came up with possession. And Luke Williamson doesn't have the pace, gets tackled. And guess what? Manly, from the ensuing play, turn possession over again. They've only completed 9 of 16 sets in this game. And they need to complete their sets. And when they do complete their sets, they look dangerous, as we saw when they scored their try early on.
13 of 17 for Newcastle as Hasler looks on. Ben Kennedy, it's a tackle. Now he's lost the ball, hand in there from Walker.
He pulled it out. Wait. Tackle was over and then he stripped it.
That adds to the frustration.
Yeah, we see Walker still got his hand in there and definitely strips it, so it's a good decision by the referee. But Manly are the most penalised team in the competition, and they need to control their discipline to get a fair share of possession.
Number 16, Riley Brown.
Badiris now finding Matthew Kennedy, who goes straight. right in front of the uprights at the northern end of EnergyAustralia Stadium. This is Kurt Gidley. Turns the ball back inside to Mark Hughes. They just hold off. Someone has to tackle him, and Mark Hughes gets himself a double on his return to the top grade. Luke Williamson's calling for an obstruction. There wasn't anyone obstructed because no one was there to tackle him.
Exactly right, and that's where Manly have really been struggling. The try from Badiris was through the centre of the ruck. The break from Todd Lowry a little earlier was through the centre of the ruck. And this one, too simple. Mark Hughes throws the dummy. Once again, no one talking in the defensive line from Manly. When no one talks in the defensive line, you don't know who's covering who. And dummies that are thrown by the opposition can be quite effective. And Mark Hughes only playing his third game of the season for the Knights after suffering a serious hamstring tear, has proved, well, he's proved what a valuable player he is. Already 2 tries in this match on his comeback match.
That was just too easy.
It was.
Manly. And just before half-time as well. About 7 minutes remaining until the break. This is the easiest kick of the afternoon for Kurt Gidley. So it will be a 12-point buffer for the Knights. And there it is. 3 from 3 for Kurt Gidley, 18 points to 6. Newcastle over Manly. As Wayne was suggesting, Manly the most penalised team in the NRL. Giving away a couple of penalties there. And losing possession when they had the changeover. That's just too easy. The defenders, the players there, Matthew Kennedy and Badiris, that Hughes was talking about, there was no obstruction because nobody went to tackle Hughes. So Walker with the restart as we approach the 6-minute remaining mark in the first half. A very high kick. Davis has it and will look for Parsons. Dunley in there to make the tackle. Nathan Tutt on for Manly. Also, jumper number 18. Matthew Kennedy. Tutt again, making another tackle. Ben Kennedy at Walker. For the ball again, but slipped off. Around the legs there was Heckenberg. Badiris down the short side. Here's Kurt Gidley. Not played at by Hicks for mine. That'll be play on. Oh, the referee said he did play at it.
Was played at, went forward.
Well, that's a big call. A big call because
here's Stephen Menzies again.
I thought he didn't play it. He comes in to try and affect the tackle, in my opinion. Definitely not playing at the football. So it's a dud call there against Manly.
It happens when you're having a season where you're struggling. I didn't think at any stage Chris Hicks played at it. So Newcastle get the ball on the halfway line. And they're very fortunate to do so. Stephen Menzies is going to be exhausted if he keeps running in every time this afternoon.
He might move back in the lock so he hasn't got as far to run.
Another couple of changes being made here by Newcastle. Parsons coming off. Morneau coming back. Also Matthew Kennedy off. Matthew Parsons not happy at all. Coming to the bench, Clint Newton hitting a solid tackle. Pops it out the back to a Davis. Now, number 16 is Riley Brown for Newcastle. I think Matty Parsons is very happy at all about being replaced as Kurt Gidley. Once again, the Manly defence just standing and watching. They bring him down close to the line. Last tackle, Ennis. Now it goes to Brown again. Hughes. Here's Matthew Gidley with a kick for Tamana Tahu. In the corner, Gidley Tahu. This time it's with the boot. And Newcastle, with that controversial call a couple of tackles ago, have scored back-to-back tries and may have blown the game open.
It's a devastating blow leading up to half-time. That try really does blow the margin out. And once again, Newcastle stretched Manly to one side of the field. They came back to the far side of the field in this combination. Tahu, Gidley, they know they virtually read each other's minds as to what's going to happen. Tahu positions himself beautifully. Perfectly weighted kick from Gidley here. Little left footer through. Gets the bounce. Gets the put down. And try in behind the defensive line. Superb play.
Not an easy kick. He struck it well. He struck it very well, but it hits the upright. Just faded a little bit too much. And so it remains 22 points to 6. Gidley missing his first kick of the afternoon. He's now kicked 3 from 4. There's Matty Parsons. I mentioned when he came off, he wasn't happy. He didn't get a lot of game time. Here's Woolno. Watmow with the tackle. Perry. Donnelly in there. So too was Watmow. Tamana Tahu, try scorer. Interesting thing too with Newcastle having lost 4 in a row. Well, there's an injury to Shane Dunley. Shoulder, right shoulder, Badiris. That opening half, thought Tuck was offside. They've got numbers here. Hughes has lost it. It's bad to say, Wayne, that they've lost 4 in a row in Newcastle, but interesting their try scorers this afternoon. Hughes, Badiris and Gidlet and Tahu. The big guns coming back from injury and making an impact when they do come back.
And the guy that's making a huge impact, in addition to Hughes, who just dropped that football, is Denny Badiris at a dummy half. The markers from Manly, almost every time Badiris has made a break, it's been because the markers have failed to react. They've just been too slow, not splitting quick enough, and he's getting yardage and getting to go forward for the Knights.
Heckenberg. Ken Manly in this final 30 seconds of the first half. Get some points to give them a lift heading into the break. Walker. Now Stewart. Kurt Gidley there with the tackle with Mark Hughes. Tuck taking it forward. This will be the last play of the first half, the last tackle of this set for Manly. Walker puts it high again. No real pressure here for Quinn. O'Davis, although Stewart came flying. Manly got the ball. Did they get it down?
I want you to check to see if Robbie O'Davis might have been taken out. And then if he wasn't, check the grounding, please.
Stewart goes up. I don't think Stewart gets a hand on it myself. I don't think so.
No, that was Quinn's arm on that angle, but I think Nick Bradley did get a hand to it. This shot won't tell you. Clears up the knock-on, though. But the reverse angle one that we saw, this one, I thought there Stewart, on that angle, Stewart may have got a hand to it, but I think we saw on the other one that it was Quinn. Did you watch here for Nick Bradley's arm? There. For mine, that's Nick Bradley's hand.
Yep, I think you're right there. I think it's downward pressure from Nick Bradley.
Try it is to Nick Bradley, his second of the year. And what a time to score it, right on the break. And here's Walker, 10 metres in, 23 out. He struck it very well and adds the extra 2. And so what a fillip for Manly as they go into the sheds at half-time. Desi Hasler makes a couple of notes. And at half-time, it is Newcastle 22, leading Manly 12. Stephen Clark signals time on, and Manly defending the southern end of EnergyAustralia Stadium. Newcastle first opportunity to use the football in the second half, and they have a 10-point lead as Adam Ulmo is tackled. Here's Kennedy running hard. Jeff Robson was equal to the task with Donald. Williamson in there as well. Perry. Williamson jumping high to wrap the ball up. This is Lowry. To the halfway, quite comfortably here in Newcastle. Clint Newton now. Good tackle by Menzies. He thought about flicking it out the back, but took the tackle on the last. Kurt Gidley. Dunley trying to charge through, but Matthew Gidley off the padding of the upright. Well, that was a bit of luck for Newcastle, and Stewart had to work the ball out. He's going over the dead ball line for all money, but I was saying Dunley had a checkered path to try and put pressure on the kicker. So Manly now have to work it out from their own end.
Yeah, and it looks like Robbie O'Davis has succumbed to a foot injury. He limped off at half-time, and he hasn't come back onto the field. And at fullback, we've got Matt Gidley at fullback. And it looks like Riley Brown's going to be playing in the centres. So
Bit of a
loss there, blow for Newcastle.
And if Robson had been able to get the ball away, they had 4-on-2 out here, Manly. He just couldn't get the arms free. Inside the 20, but charged down there by Ennis. Stewart should have the pace to clean up, and he does so, just diving on the football. The tackle count has restarted. And so Williamson is back there, pushes away from Brown. Can't get away from Vidiris. Donald. Heckenberg. Williamson inside to Menzies. Seen very little of the football today, but able to offload to Dunley. Here comes Walker in support. Ben Kennedy grabs him by the collar. And assistance coming there from Josh Perry on the last. Well, gaps being found here by Manly. Now Walker with the kick, an easy one there for Matthew Gidley to take. And Walker, the kicker, is up there to make the tackle.
And Manly, as we've pointed out, slow starters, they tend to get a bit of momentum, and generally their best facet of their game, the best part of their game is the third quarter, the 20 minutes after half-time. So Newcastle have got to stay on their game, certainly for this next 20 minutes, and make sure that they control possession, complete their sets, and play the football down Manly's end of the field.
Newton throws it out the back as he lost control. Kurt Gidley standing and deciding now to run to the left and then straight on the last tackle here. So Ennis goes in as the kicker, and he puts it high for Stewart. He's having to put everyone on side. Stewart stands his ground and takes it well. He had the sun to contend with as well.
10 metres.
The Newcastle players saying that Ennis kicked it, but once the Newcastle players go inside the 10, they can't be put on side. They have to stay outside the 10 and wait for Ennis to get there and put them on side. And you see Perry inside the 10. He's about 6 metres away and he can't be put on side.
And a big rep for Brett Stewart, a fullback as well. I think he's, apart from one ball that he dropped one high ball that he dropped early on, he's had an outstanding game. Looks to put himself into the game. He's got tremendous speed and a great finishing player.
Anthony Watmo plays it. This is Donald. Cross field. No way to go there. And Vidiris and Newton bring him to ground. Just short of the 30-metre line. Dunley. Robson. Going to dummy, and Newton coming up with a solid tackle, ball and all. Last tackle. That shook up Robson. Walker. Can he get away from Woolno? He does. Little chip over the top. Was he taken out? He was by Perry.
You dropped your shoulder into him. You dropped your shoulder into him. Yeah, there's no problem with standing there, but then he dropped the shoulder in. Just dropped his shoulder into him. He dropped his shoulder into him, mate. Absolutely.
Well, I'm with Denny Badiris. At first look, I thought that Perry just held his ground and turned. Well, I think that's a pretty harsh penalty. I think Perry's entitled to turn around.
Kane Cleal coming on for Manly. As I was saying before, you don't often see a player go to the ground when he's put in a good kick. On this occasion, Walker's put in a shocker straight to the fullback. And Perry's entitled to stand there, and Walker's hit the ground knowing that his kick was ordinary. Quick tap taken here by Dunley, eventually. And now Perry, who's been on the receiving end of a couple of penalties this afternoon, making the tackle on King. Now back on the inside to Heckenberg. The defence read it very well for Newcastle. Robson, Williamson. No way through the defence on this occasion. Kurt Gidley with the tackle. Here's Dunley again for the far corner. Hicks pops it back to Stewart. He's over the goal line. He can't force it. He's held up.
Held up, boys. Held up. That would have been 4. Out here. Yeah, it's held up. That would have been 4, so you'll play the ball here on tackle 4. Play the ball. That would have been 4. That would have been tackle 4. You got to get blood, mate. You got blood. Just wait. That was tackle 4,
Stewart being
boys.
told to go out the back for that knock to the nose. A couple of more tackles up the sleeve here for Manly. Robson turns it on the inside to Heckenberg. Here's the last tackle. Sloppy play the ball. So Robson putting the kick through. Tahu has it covered. He's not going to get back into the field of play though.
Line drop out.
So it's a goal line dropout, and they were lucky there, Manly, because that was an ordinary play the ball.
It was an ordinary play the ball, but it was a great kick in the end. Bounced on end. Good chase. They forced the 20-metre line dropout. That's the first time they've done it this afternoon and maintained the pressure. But could have bounced anywhere, and fortunately for Newcastle, it bounced in the arms of Tamana Tahu.
Gidley with the kick. It's a good one too. But Robson does well. He's going towards the touchline. And now to King, almost bursting through the other side. Ennis was around the legs. Motmo towards the touchline. Clint Newton with the tackle with Tahu. Donald. Now Robson. Walker. Stewart. Taken to ground by Hughes. Inside the 20 go Manly. This is Walker. Williamson. Can't get the ball because Kurt Gidley has come up with the intercept, and you could see that ball back on the inside from a mile away for Williamson as Kennedy takes it forward. The crowd want Manly for inside the 10. Yes, there wasn't the Christmas in the attack from Manly as Badiris takes it forward.
Shane Dunley, get it down, mate. Get it down. High shot. Not sure
Well, this is the intercept. Kurt Gidley anticipating a gain, and then from this play the ball, they get a quick play the ball. Newcastle just got the roll on over the advantage line, and Dunley comes up with one a touch high. But
there's Andrew Johns watching on after re-signing with Newcastle officially this afternoon, just before the kick-off.
There it is.
Watching his Knights trying to end their losing streak. And Perry involved again, testing the patience there of Stephen Clark. So is Shane Dunley this afternoon also. Badiris, Kurt Gidley, here's Ennis, cuts out Kennedy, finding Clint Newton. Tries to run straight over the top of Robson, who made the tackle with Menzies. Tamana Tahu, just across field, looking for a gap, almost ducking under. He's beaten two defenders there, Dunley and also King. There's a metre out from the line. Fourth tackle. Kurt Gidley, ordinary kick, but he's able to regather. Or is it a knock on? Must have hit the ground before he kicked it.
Hey? He's touched by you, it's your feet. Yeah.
Knock on by Manly.
Touch Manly.
I thought you said Kurt.
No.
Where?
well, I've got to say, Steve Clark's not having one of his best games this afternoon. Once again, an error of judgment cost Manly.
Hey. Take Knights. Danny, take him back. Danny, take him back. Danny, take him back. Take him back. In you go now. Steady. Steady.
Manly trying to win it against the feed. It comes out to Newcastle. Still on in back play. Tamana Tahu, they separate for the line. Did he get it down? The corner post is gone.
Sean, just check grounding in the corner post, please.
I'm not sure from up here whether Tamana Tahu was able to get it down. I think he may have. And then his feet took the corner post. But once again, I don't know how Newcastle got the feed. Where the knock-on was from Manly.
Yeah, well, Tamana Tahu, he saw the try line, goes forward. I think he gets a try in the end. Stretches out, and I think that's a try.
Here's the decision from Sean Hampstead. He's been very busy this afternoon, and it's a try. Tamana Tahu gets a double, and he joins George Carmont with 8 tries for the season. And Newcastle get the first points of the second half, a try they needed. It came from that interesting call for Newcastle loose and feed.
But see, the Manly side, they're paddling across the field. Once again, they're not sure. On that occasion, it was Brett Stewart. He wasn't sure whether Menzies were going to take Tamana Tahu or whether it was his man. So he got caught flat-footed. Then Tamana Tahu got on the outside of him, and by the time he took off again, Tamana Tahu was too close to the line, and momentum carried him over. But tremendous athleticism shown there by Tamana Tahu once again.
And not the best kick of his this afternoon. Never looked like it. And so it's still 14 the difference. Newcastle 26, Manly 12. Manly bring it back to halfway once again. Once again, Andrew Walker is in no hurry to bring the ball back to halfway.
Well, now that the Knights have got a stranglehold on this game, they really need to go on with it, because what Michael Hagan will obviously be looking for will be the points differential that they can put on Manly in this game, because at the moment they are sitting a couple of points out, at least 2 points out, depending on how other games go, out of the top 8. But their points differential is minus 68, so that's well down on some of the other teams that will be vying for them for the top 8 position.
Perry plays it. Tahu. He and Mark Hughes with a double today. And Tahu gets up limping. That's a worry not only for Newcastle but for the New South Wales origin selectors. He goes back to the wing in some discomfort. Badiris plays it. He is not well, Tamana Tahu. This is Ennis with the kick, just in front of Dunley, between winger and fullback. Tahu still struggling. Donald, the ball goes into the in-goal area. And hit down a good tackle by Clint Newton. I'm not sure that Tamana Tahu will last much longer.
Well, I don't think Michael O'Hagan would want to risk him either, given that he's such a valuable player, and they've got this game well and truly.
He's coming off,
in
I would
control.
think. Kevin Henderson getting ready. They're coming to Tahu. He can barely run. There he is. I don't think he'll last much longer, Wayne.
No, I think he'll be straight off and get some treatment. If worst comes to worst, and he can get back on there, they might throw him back on, but why would you risk one of your most valuable
He's
players?
gone. He's gone. He can't run. Will he play in State of Origin 3? Matthew Gidley. That's the next big question. He is gone. Off coming Clint Newton. Kevin Henderson's coming on for him. It's a wonder they didn't stop. They did stop him just before he came on. They stopped him from coming on. And here goes Quinn. Quinn, fullback to beat. Through Stewart. There's Manly defenders everywhere. They finally bring him to ground. 10 metres out from the goal line. Here's Hughes. He's looking for a hat-trick. Tamana Tahu out on the wing trying to keep up. Can barely do it. If he was a horse, they would have put him down by now. Here's Gidley. Back on the inside. It goes to Perry. Can he get the ball down? I think he's lost it.
Sean, just check the grounding close.
Well, Clint Newton had come from the field, and just as Henderson was about to hand the card to the interchange official, they grabbed him by the collar and brought him back to save him for Tahu. Here's the replay.
While that's all happening, Josh Perry decides he wants to go for the try line, and well, it could be a penalty because it looks as though the ball may have been stripped.
Tamana Tahu's still on the field, but talking to the trainers and medical staff. He's shaking his head now. Doesn't look good. Can't be a penalty try because they changed that. Here's the decision. There's Tahu with the medical staff. He's no good. No try, scrum. They don't rule it was stripped. He lost it. And Tamana Tahu comes from the field. Now he goes back on the field. This is a bit of a fast air at the moment for Newcastle because he can't change because it's a scrum. And there he is on the wing. Will Manly go that way with Scott Donald? 10 out from their own line. Try and give it to Scott Donald on Tamana Tahu.
Well, Riley Brown's...
They're going to lose against the feed. Would you believe it?
He had it. He didn't knock it on. Go in there. Take it in. Take it in. Take it in.
Newcastle are playing it smart as well. They've got Riley Brown defending on this short side, which they wouldn't normally have. So he's trying to, he'll obviously cover for Tamana Tahu should they Manly try and run this short side.
Get yourselves packed first and we won't have those problems. In you go now. Oh, come on, Josh. I'll wait all day, fellas, until you get your heads in there. It's not that hard. These two blokes. Get it away. Come out here, mate. Look, it's these two blokes, Ben. I'm happy to get in and out of here real quick. Listen, you two blokes. Let's just Danny, mate, it is torture. I'm happy to get out of here real quick. You two blokes got to talk to these fellas. They don't want to go in there. We're stood up, and they're just, I don't know what your problem is, but get your heads in there, and we'll all be out of here. Ridiculous. How you're in? Look. Out.
A couple of front rowers don't want to go in. It's a bit smelly in the scrum at this time of the afternoon. It's a hot afternoon.
There's some driving defence from Newcastle. Tamana Tahu, after all that, still hasn't gone off. And Henderson's gone and sat back down. This is becoming a soap opera on this right wing for Newcastle with Tamana Tahu. I'm sure that the New South Wales selectors will be interested in his fitness. He can still barely run. As Manly take it over the 30.
Wait, go.
There's no sign of them making a change for him. Nick Bradley taken to ground by Ben Kennedy. Tahu drops back for the last tackle kick. Will they kick to him? Ordinary pass. Now they kick straight to Tamana Tahu. Let's see what he can do here. Well, he can barely run. You have to wonder what he's doing out there, Wayne.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, he's...
Hold, boys, hold.
Obviously, Michael Hagan doesn't want to sacrifice an interchange unless he has to, but Tamana Tahu can't run. He's just coming off now.
There's no interchange. Here we come. Henderson's coming on for him. There he goes, straight off Tamana. We'll find out as soon as we can. The full extent of the injury. He goes straight up the tunnel. He's called back by the doctor. And now Newcastle keep it alive, but Dearest just gets to it. Straight up the tunnel goes Tamana Tahu.
Well, I thought Newcastle were a little fortunate on that occasion. I thought it could have been deemed a forward pass, but they get the benefit of the doubt.
Here's the kick high from Kurt Gidley. With the juggle, Nick Bradley just takes it in front of Quinn. And so this is of concern for New South Wales and Newcastle. I was only going to mention just before Tahu got hurt, they welcome back Kennedy and Hughes. Davis they lose just on half time. And now it looks like Tamana Tahu could have suffered an injury that could keep him on.
Here you go, boys. Here it is.
Yeah, well, they really had not much luck. Davis looked like he had a leg injury or foot injury as well. But I suppose on the positive side, you've got to say that Ben Kennedy has really stepped up today. I think he's had a strong game, looked dangerous on the edges of the ruck whenever he's had the opportunity to run the football. And his defence has been strong and solid.
Walker with the kick on the last. Taken there by Matthew Gidley. Good chase here from Manly, straight line, Cleo across the top and King around the legs. Off the tackle. This is Kevin Henderson.
Up, Kylie!
To see Matty Parsons come back here for Newcastle. This is Todd Lowry and Walker. Williamson in there again to tidy up. Quinn. Parsons on for Josh Perry. King over the top, around the legs with a solid tackle. It was Watmout. Last tackle here for the Knights. Kicking, is it too much? It is from Kurt Gidley. That'll be a changeover.
Here it is. Let's go here.
Newcastle really struggled to get any momentum in the second half. They had that try. As we look at the replay, the ball goes out on the full. Would you believe that Manly have knocked on from the first play? So Newcastle now back in possession.
Well, Kane Cleo was running an angle. I don't think he was expecting the ball, and Dunley passed it to him, and he stuck a hand out, knocked it on. And now Newcastle go down the eastern touchline through Quinn, away from Williamson. Walker's there, and Williamson comes again. Badiris, now Matthew Gidley. Kurt Gidley. Now Ennis. The kick for Kennedy. Menzies is there and knocks it over the dead ball line and took a knock as he did it. And had to because Ben Kennedy was charging.
Yeah, tremendous work there by the Beaver, Steve Menzies, to put himself between Ben Kennedy, who was flying through, and the football. Managed to shoulder him out of the way, which is quite legal. Still gets across to assist. But Newcastle get another set, get another crack, and they'll be looking to just build momentum. They haven't really done that at all in this second half.
Parsons, the crowd lifting as he returns the football. Robson with the tackle. This is Henderson. Kane Cleal makes the tackle. Sam Harris getting ready to come back for Manly. This is Matthew Kennedy. Kurt Gidley. Ben Kennedy run around with Kurt Gidley, and then Matthew Gidley. He pops the ball back to Mark Hughes. Keeping it alive, Ennis throws the dummy, bounces away from Robson, and finally flung to ground as Robson came again. Dunley in there also. Kurt Gidley slips the tackle of Hicks, can't get away from Williamson, although he's only half a metre out from the goal line. On tackle number 5, Badiris. Walker was a mile offside, surely.
Knocked on Manly.
In the end, I suppose they'll get the ball back, Newcastle, but Walker got up there very quickly. Here it is.
He looked like he jumped the gun.
He was all right. He was right there with the referee.
Technically, he did jump the gun, but referees tend to not worry about the ball clearing the ruck before they penalise nowadays. And there is the number 12 for Manly, Sam Harris, coming back on.
Can you go, Ben? Go. Go, Kurt. Come on, Jason. Out. Out.
And Matthew Gidley, Chris Hicks right up. The ball was called out by the referee, you heard it. The crowd here couldn't. And they thought Hicks was offside, but he clearly wasn't. He's inside the 10-game Newcastle through Lowry. And here's Parsons. Flick out the back, it goes to Quinn. He puts the head down, he's almost over. And they force him back. Who was in there? Stewart and Dunley. Badiris, Kurt Gidley, Ben Kennedy there, and opens up for him. Kane Cleal held on. Did he get it down? He did. Ben Kennedy scores a try for Newcastle against the team he's going to play for next year, Manly, and that should be enough for the Knights to end a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, deserved try there for Ben Kennedy. He's toiled away all afternoon, tried very, very hard, been dangerous on the edges of the ruck, but once again it was through the centre of Manly's ruck that they were found out. They were found short. They switch the play, they go back inside, and Kennedy twists and turns in the tackle, manages to get around through 4 defenders and score the try. That's a show of brute strength. But Gidley was the one that shuffled it back on the inside, and just poor ruck defence, poor centre of the ruck defence there from Manly. Kennedy, there was enough of them there, but they just didn't communicate once again. They just didn't go forward, and they didn't shut down the centre of the ruck.
News from downstairs on Tamana Tahu. He has inflammation of the ankle joint, which is causing impingement. Well, you love these medical terms, Wayne, as Kurt Gidley lines this up.
Guess he's got a stuffed ankle joint.
Fair enough. Would have been easy to say that, as now Gidley converts the try. 32 points to 12. I didn't bring a dictionary with me.
Oh, those busted ankles, you can colour them up, can't you?
I don't have a problem with ankle and inflammation, but the impingement was the one that was causing the problem for a while. Manly slowly bring the ball back to halfway. They realise that it's a long way from here. It's a long way home on the scoreboard, and it's a long way home to Brookvale.
Certainly is. They've never really been in the game this afternoon. They started slowly once again. Scored a try just before half-time that gave them maybe a sense of hope of winning this football game, but in this second half they just haven't been competitive. They've dropped a lot of ball. They've given away penalties, but at the end of the day they just haven't been able to compete and contain the powerful running game of the Newcastle forwards. They've been vulnerable through the centre of the ruck.
They go wide early. Matt Gidley, long ball to Quinn. He's got Nick Bradley in front of him. He makes the tackle. No, he doesn't. He gets away from Walker, away from Robson. King he's away from. Matt Gidley comes and Walker comes again to make the tackle. Play on, says the referee. Now that's 3. Badiris, Manly offside everywhere. Walker with another tackle. He made the one before, one of the only players onside. And he's trying to give the penalty away. Now it comes to Kurt Gidley. Badiris down in back play. Not played out by Manly, but Newton will get back. Still 4. Now Parsons. He goes forward. Ben Kennedy directs him towards the goal line. And Newcastle trying to add further points as Parsons has finally taken to ground, 10 out from the goal line. Kurt Gidley kicking back across for Ben Kennedy off the upright, straight into the hands of Matthew Kennedy. Was he offside though?
Just want to check the onside, please, Sean.
Lux of fortune.
Touch judge was right on top of it and he said he caught it.
Stephen Menzies claiming he didn't catch it. Oh, that was down the kickoff, I should say. Saying from the kickoff that Kevin Henderson lost the ball. And here's the replay. Where's Kennedy, Matthew? Clearly behind, not a problem.
Well, all the Newcastle players are on side, and you might say it's a touch of luck, and I suppose you're entitled to think that, but the kickers, Kurt Gidley, doesn't matter who the kicker is, they aim back towards the post. And it's not often, maybe 1 in 100 hit the goal post, but when they do, they cause all sorts of problems. And on that occasion, the Newcastle players, and Kennedy in particular, in the right spot at the right time. And ironic because Kurt Gidley and Matthew Kennedy, the only two players, and they come up with the goal, the only two players that played every game for the Knights this year.
We'll get this out about Tamana Tahu. Straight in front. Tamana Tahu. There's Andrew Johns watching, his father in the background also. Tamana Tahu is down the we'll get it out, Wayne, don't worry.
I'm waiting.
He is down on the touchline on the Newcastle bench with his ankle heavily strapped. And he's got more ice. He's got his ankle strapped with ice, more ice than you'd need for a 21st birthday party on his right ankle.
Look at it. He has got an impingement.
He has got an impingement. Look at that ice. You could have about half a dozen beers in there for after the game on that right ankle of Tamana Tahu. But let's hope, all seriousness, that he's okay for State of Origin 3. 38-12. It's over Manly.
Manly, hold! Go!
Henderson.
Go!
This will be a test here for Manly also to make sure they don't fall away completely. And you spoke earlier, Wayne, about Newcastle going on with the job. 38-12. Robson injured for Manly. Right shoulder problem in back plays. Ben Kennedy takes it forward, had the arm free, thought about passing, decided not to. Newton out the back. Now it comes from Ennis. Jeff Robson coming off for Manly. Riley Brown away from Menzies into open space. He comes back to his right. The referee's in the way. Basketball pass over the top. And finally taken to ground was Kevin Henderson. This is the last. Gidley throwing dummies. Was that an obstruction? Kicks for himself. Stewart kicks it into touch.
Kicked out Manly. Scrum. Newcastle feet loose.
Yeah, well, the Knights really starting to open the game up now, chancing their arm, throwing the ball around. They realise that Manly are not just tired, but they're, I'd have to say, getting demoralised, really, because they have had no luck whatsoever stopping the go forward game around the ruck from Newcastle this afternoon. And now the Knights are speculating with their passes and they're sticking.
Out!
Matthew Gidley also on the touchline for Newcastle, having a bit of a break. This is Ennis.
One there.
Quick play the ball out of acting half, and that is too easy, way too easy. And Mark Hughes has got himself a hat-trick.
And once again, it was through the centre of the ruck, the Manly ruck, that this try's been scored. I mean, it was a good set-up play, a good head-up play from the scrum. Nothing spectacular, but it was the quick play of the ball that saw the Manly defenders going backwards. They got their backs turned, and Hughes, he hits the accelerator, goes through the middle of the Manly ruck. You get a guy that's come back from injury, been out for a long time, only played his 2 games previously this season, and a lightweight player goes straight through the middle of the Manly forwards.
And there it is, straight between the posts, and Manly, they have the worst defence in the NRL. It's getting worse now. Another 44 points to add to that. They conceded a lot of points last week against South Sydney also in being beaten at Brookvale Oval. The crowd just under 18,000 today, 17,967.
And I think, as we spoke a little bit earlier, it's really important from Newcastle's perspective that they continue to go on with this. The last 10 minutes of this game, they'd be looking to put a couple more tries on the board. They need points to boost their points differential for the remainder of the season. And they'll be chancing their arm. They'll be looking to go around the Manly side once they've got that, they go forward.
Kennedy. They overrun Todd Lowry, or Todd Lowry, I should say. They overrun him, so Kennedy had to continue himself. Kennedy after a penalty. Now Badiris comes there to Ennis, kicking. Riley Brown had a checkered pass past Menzies. Now Stewart slipping and had a wall of defenders in front of him.
There's not much he could do on that occasion. The ball was a good kick. Now Newcastle jamming up their defensive line, just trying to force Manly to kick from deep down inside their territory and get some good field position, because Manly struggled throughout the afternoon when Newcastle had good field position and thrown the ball around, spread the ball around.
This is Dunley. Into space goes Tuck. It closed pretty quickly. Kurt Gidley with the tackle. Walker. Now Chris Hicks, it bounced off his chest and has gone forward nearly 20 metres. Nick Bradley's kicked it away and Hughes has come up with it.
Boys, knock on. Up here.
Goes down the other end of the field. Drill the hole straight through Chris Hicks. So the scrum will pack down right on the halfway line. Josh Perry's back to cause problems at the scrum for Stephen Clark. Is the error again. Another opportunity here for some points for Newcastle. Walno. Dunley comes from behind and Tuck, but he's able to offload to Badiris. Dumming, linking up with Kurt Gidley. Williamson with the tackle. Badiris. Lulawai in the arm out. Badiris bouncing away. Kurt Gidley. Michael Ennis right in front of the post. They've got two tackles up their sleeve. Most of the Newcastle sides to the right, but they go to the left. It comes to Mark Hughes looking for 4 to equal the club record. Now it comes back to Kurt Gidley on the last. Here's the kick. It was well read there by Anthony Watmo, but he's forced back into the in-goal area. He tried to succumb to the tackle and was easy meat for the defence.
Yeah, good little kick there, an equally good chase. Watmo was in position to take the football, but there's not much he could do because the power of the defence was just far too strong. Now the Knights get another opportunity, as we can see here. He gets back into the field of play, but big Matty Parsons, all 120 stone of him, pushes him back. The Knights now back.
Well, that's good work from Walker. The short restart, and Manly is able to come up with possession. Just fell asleep a bit there, Newcastle, but it was weighted perfectly by Andrew Walker. Sam Harris up to Hicks. Had the arm free, still going, gets up and goes again. Turns it back on the inside. Harris flicks it out the back to Walker. Now it comes to Donnelly. Perry has had it stolen 1-on-1 or 2-on-1.
2 in there. There's 2 in there. Wait till that ball gets off. Yeah, right. Come on, Josh. Penalty there.
Quick tap taken by Dunley, looking for distance. Well, and fires it out, and there's a mistake.
I don't think there was a second defender in there until Josh Perry had stolen the football, to be perfectly honest. But either way, they concede possession on the first play.
Anthony Watmo it was. Just sums up Manly's afternoon.
Yeah, as we can see here, Manly go wide and Watmo just comes up with a basic error. Crusher, the recruitment manager for Manly, Can't believe what he's seeing.
Ennis throwing dummies. There's the errors from Manly, 11 to 8. The completion rate for Manly is not great. Newcastle find themselves 20 metres out. And there's those completion rates. 31 to 39 is pretty good. Very good, in fact, for Newcastle.
Very good
There's
for Newcastle,
passes.
but Manly, 19 out of 32 sets is all they've completed. Given Newcastle too much ball in too good a field position.
Back it comes to Riley Brown. He's finally tackled. Can they get the 50 here, Newcastle? Gidley. Hughes looking for 4. Badiris from close range again. Danny Badiris gets himself a double. And once again, Wayne Pearce will put the same record on.
Do I really have to voice over this one? Because, yeah, exactly right. We'll just replay what we've said on half a dozen times so far today. The centre of the Manly ruck is disgraceful. Danny Badiris, once again, simple as you like. Throw the dummy, step back on the inside. I'll just do a bit of a twist and go over for a try. That's through the meat of the Manly defence. Now, Desi Hasler will be having nightmares over this.
Manly gets worse for them. They take on the Bulldogs next week at Brookie. And there's a further 2 points for Kurt Gidley. 7 from 9. And there's the 50. 50 points to 12. Newcastle over Manly. What can he do? Des Hasler. He has to watch it.
Well, I suppose the bright spark for him this afternoon is the fact that Ben Kennedy has had a sensational game and he's signed him for next year. And I suppose they can also look forward to Brent Kite coming on board, but I think they need to sign a couple more forwards that are going to stand up and keep their defensive line intact. And the other thing is too, that they're just not talking enough in defence. Because there's no talk, there's no belief in each other. The line's not going forward. Defenders not sure who's taking who, and that's been a big reason for their problems.
Inside the final 3 minutes, Newcastle will be desperate for more points, and Mark Hughes, an opportunity in his final 3 minutes to pick up his 4th try and equal the club record for the most tries in a match. So Manly's dreadful record against Newcastle continues. And there's now 6 in a row they've lost against the Knights. They've turned it over their penalty.
He came from an offside position.
Against Chris Hicks. Manly hasn't won here in Newcastle since 1997.
And the referee got a call from the touch judge on that occasion that Chris Hicks was offside. The ball goes out there. And bang, he says that Chris Hicks touches the football. Oh, no, he says that Nick Bradley touches the football and Chris Hicks comes back to receive the football, pick the football up from an offside position.
Perry will play it. As he goes chasing again, there's Wilmo going through. Dunley slipping off high. Now the ball out the back to Badiris. Kurt Gidley links up. Where's Mark Hughes? They're going left. That's where Manly's short. Ennis has lost it. Penalty.
10 metres, boys. Never back. There he is there. There he is there. No, look, the touch judge was there. You were all offside. All offside.
Got to give it to Stephen Menzies. He's still battling hard for his side.
Wait. How you doing? Thank you, Mark.
It's a little of ale. They've got a hold here, Manly. Parsons, the crowd is desperate for him to get a try every time he touches the football. Hughes. Well, if Badiris can do it twice, and I've got a couple myself before, why not try again? He wouldn't throw it past first receiver. Gidley, he's now trying to go over to pick up some points. This time the Manly defence forces him back. Inside the final minute, Badiris. Now Hughes, Walker with a solid tackle. 4th tackle. So the final 2 tackles of the game for Newcastle. Matthew Kennedy to Kurt Gidley, too easy again. So close to the line, and Kurt Gidley, the halfback, crosses, 54-12.
Well, sustained pressure on this occasion took its toll, but still Manly threw one pass wide of the ruck, which is virtually where the strength, Manly's defensive strength should still be, was found wanting. And Gidley, one of the smallest members in your side, managed to break the line and go over and score the try. But the lead-up work was what took its toll on that occasion.
38 missed tackles for Manly. And Kurt Gidley acts the extra 2. And there is the full-time score. Newcastle 56, Manly 12. And the Knights have ended a 4-game losing streak.
This has been a Fox Sports production for the National Rugby League Partnership.